morning. Today is Tuesday, June 27th, and we're back in London. Today we are going to Westminster, afternoon tea, and then having some dinner with friends. We tried having breakfast at the hotel again today, and that didn't work out because it was super crowded, and it took probably like 10 minutes to get onto an elevator. So that really sucked. So we ended up going to
Costa Coffee.
Yeah, and there was like no line, and went really quick. So
it's pretty good.
I'd recommend going there.
And we're at Big Ben. It's behind us. Say hi, Ben. Hi, Ben.
And this is Costa Coffee, where we had breakfast. So here we have blueberry muffin and smart water. And a pastry raisin, so like a raisin pastry. Here. That's Costa. And here's Eric with his iced coffee.
Costa. Here we are at Big Ben. My question is, where is Little Ben?
This way. Ah, this is Parliament Square. So we have Westminster Abbey behind us, then St. Margaret's Minster, Methodist Central Hall, the Supreme Court, Abraham Lincoln, Sir Robert Peel, Benjamin Disraeli. There's Abraham Lincoln here. The Earl of Derby, Winston Churchill, Foreign and Commonwealth Office. That must be what's across the street.
Okay. So that must be where the houses are.
Inside Houses of Parliament. Houses of Parliament is with Big Ben.
Okay.
So that's over here.
Then we have
London Eye, Port Cooley House. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to go see Abe Lincoln at some point. Huh?
Any statues?
He's right here. So literally by that tree.
Oh, I see him.
He's a tall one.
Yeah.
And this right here is St. Margaret's Church of Westminster Abbey. It's consecrated in 1523 and is the third on the site. Our time ticket for Westminster Abbey was 10 to 10:30 entry. We showed up early and was able to do security right away. And then at 9:30, they already opened the doors and we were able to get inside. As soon as we entered, Eric asked about their Verger Tours, which is £10 per person, and we were able to buy them right away for $10.30. When we later met up with a group, we noticed how small it was, so I think the spots were very limited and it was definitely worth it. I later looked it up, and they do only have 4 tours a day, and it's limited to 20 people per tour. We were able to do the free audio tour first, and then the Verger Tour, and I highly recommend both. Some information overlap, but some doesn't. Our guide was amazing. She's actually a clergy person, and was there for the coronation behind door number 2. She is hilarious and was telling us all about her part in that historical day. We were also able to see the tomb of St. Edward the Confessor, which is not open to the general visitors. So that made us feel pretty special. And we were able to also sit in some seats of important congregation. And you are not allowed to take any video, so you'll be seeing a lot of photos in this video today. Westminster Abbey is an architectural masterpiece, place of daily worship and setting for royal occasions, and a burial place of kings, statesmen, poets, scientists, warriors, and musicians. Westminster Abbey was originally a monastery that King Edward re-endowed and enlarged in the 1040s. Building a large stone church of St. Peter the Apostle. Originally called Collegiate Church of St. Peter, it became known as Westminster to distinguish itself from St. Paul's Cathedral, the Eastminster. And abbey means the building or buildings occupied by a community of monks. Therefore, Westminster Abbey. Around 1260s, King Henry III wanted to rebuild the church in the new Gothic style. He also wanted it to be a place for the coronation and burial of monarchs. However, when he died, it wasn't finished, so it remained attached to the old Norman nave. In 1376, construction started again, but the Gothic style wasn't as lavish as the eastern part, which you can actually see right here. In 1516, a new addition called the Lady Chapel was added by King Henry VII, the first of the Tudor monarchs, and includes a spectacular fan-vaulted roof. Since 1725, it has been associated with the Most Honorable Order of the Bath, and the banners of the current Knight's Grand Cross surround the walls. The abbey was given by the Parliament to the Crown, and the monks were removed in July 1559. Queen Elizabeth I refounded it in 1560 as a collegiate church exempt from jurisdiction of archbishops and bishops, and replaced the monks with a collegiate body of a dean, prebendaries, minor canons, and lay staff. In the choir, there are stalls assigned to different clergy and officers of the abbey and to the high commissioners for the Commonwealth countries when they attend services. The original medieval choir stalls were replaced in the 18th century and again by the present ones in 1848. I was under the impression this was a very architecturally beautiful and historic church, but did not realize the amount of memorials everywhere you turned. It's cool to be able to pay homage to those historical figures represented here, but it's just a little surprising. There are around 3,300 burials in the church and the cloisters, and many more memorials. The abbey contains over 600 monuments and wall tablets. There's a poets' corner, which I was super excited to see. There are more than 100 poets and writers buried or with memorials. It started in 1400 with Geoffrey Chaucer, the author of the Canterbury Tales. He wasn't buried there because he was a poet, but because he was the clerk of the king's works. Nearly 200 years later, Edmund Spenser, who wrote one of the longest poems in the English language, asked to be buried near Chaucer. And so a tradition began, and continues to this day. This area includes burials and memorials for William Shakespeare, Jane Austen, the Bronte sisters, and Charles Dickens. It even includes several clergymen and actors buried in this transept and musician George Frederick Handel. The deans of Westminster decide who receives a place based on merit, though they consult widely. There's also a scientist corner as well. Those who made incredible contributions to our understanding of the world around us include Stephen Hawking, Lord Kelvin, and Charles Darwin. Sir Isaac Newton actually has a large statue. They created his face with a death mask. There are various objects representing his vast contributions: plants, telescope for astronomy, apple for gravity. The only grave you do not step on is the grave of the unknown warrior. It reads, "Beneath this stone rests the body of a British warrior, unknown by name or rank, brought from France to lie among the most illustrious of the land, and buried here on Armistice Day, 11 November 1920. Thus are commemorated the many multitudes who, during the Great War of 1914 to 1918, gave the most that man can give, life itself." Nearby is a bell that was from His Majesty's ship, Verdun, that carried the unknown warrior. There's also a Congressional Medal of Honor of the United States of America. And nearby is a memorial to honor FDR, a faithful friend of freedom in Britain. This stained glass window was created by David Hockney and is called the Queen's Window. It is a vibrantly colored contemporary work commissioned to celebrate the reign of Elizabeth II and reflect her interest in the countryside. Our tour guide was saying in the spring, the light comes through the window and just lights up this area beautifully. This is the Coronation chair, which has been the centerpiece of coronations for over 700 years. It is kept here when not in use. After exploring the main part of the abbey, we went out to the cloisters, or covered walkways, and a courtyard that reminded me of Harry Potter. Then we made our way past Britain's oldest door and to the chapter house. The door was constructed sometime in the 1050s and the only one assignable to the Anglo-Saxon period. The chapter house was a meeting place where the monks gathered with the abbot to hold chapter, to pray, read from the rule of St. Benedict, discuss the day's business, and when the abbot decided on punishments. The walls were covered in paintings depicting scenes from the Apocalypse and the Book of Revelation. The Pike's Chamber is one of the oldest surviving parts of Westminster Abbey. This low vaulted room off the east cloister is part of the undercroft, underneath the monks' dormitory, which was built about 1070. After Westminster Abbey, we headed towards the restaurant where we had reservations for our afternoon tea. I highly recommend visiting Westminster Abbey. It's architecturally stunning, and visiting the memorial and the burial places of important scientists, mathematicians, and authors was such a nice surprise. We were so happy we booked our entrance time so early in the day to get the Verger Tour and beat the crowds. I love walking around London because their buildings are just so pretty. I mean, granted, they're probably a lot older than a lot of the buildings we see in the United States. Right here we have the government offices. And then you can kind of see King Charles Street Arch. Even the bars are so beautiful. Over here we have the Red Lion. Then over here we have the cenotaph, and it means empty tomb. It symbolizes the unprecedented losses suffered during the First World War. And then we have another memorial over here for the women of World War II. Then we happened to stumble across the Household Cavalry Museum. We didn't have a chance to go inside, but I was lucky enough to be able to take a picture with this gentleman on a horse. We are now headed to the Parlour and the Great Scott Yard Hotel for afternoon tea. We did make reservations for 1 p.m. This is it. I was thinking maybe it was in there.
Côte de Nuit, Village, Domaine Didier, Fornero. Qual è questo? Il
We are here at the Parlour for afternoon tea. So far we have bottled water, and I got afternoon tea with champagne, and you just got the regular afternoon tea. We just ordered the
Many tea choices.
Earl Grey tea with a side of milk, and they have some sugar cubes in here. I'm so excited. I'm so very, very excited. And the rest of the menu talks about the history of afternoon tea. Then this is your afternoon tea option, so with or without champagne. And then the savory warm scones, an assortment of tea cakes and pastries that we will be served. Then you have plenty of tea options from black tea to oolong tea, green tea and white tea, and then herbal infusions. I'm super excited for this teeny little fork. It's adorable, and I really like how this kind of connects right there. I'm just so excited. And these are the wristbands that we wore for our tour at Westminster Abbey. As soon as you walked in the door and they scanned your ticket, we bought their Verger Tour, which lasted like 90 minutes. Our Verger was fabulous. She was amazing. Loved her so much. So we're here. We have our Earl Grey tea with our matching teapot, our strainer, a side of milk, and lemon for Eric, because he wants lemon. Oh, so excited.
I'm not hungry, but yeah, that's fine. Okay. You go ahead.
I assume you got a taxi. I had a car with me.
It's hot, but it's really good. I didn't use a little spoon.
Some hard things?
Here we have our savory options: asparagus, caviar, lemon quiche, smoked salmon, horseradish, dill on malted bread, chicken coronation on brown bread, Montgomery cheddar and chives on Yorkshire pudding, egg truffle mayo on brioche. And these are our pastry options: St. Edward's crown, lavender and blueberry tartlet, King Charles III's lemon and strawberry chalet, Sovereign's orb of grapefruit, white chocolate mousse, and raspberry creme. And down here we have warm scones, which include freshly baked plain and raisin scones with some Cornish clotted cream and summer berry jam. I never figured out how to break a tart yet. I'm making such a beautiful mess. That also has a very strong flavor. And again, this is the white chocolate mousse with a raspberry cream and grapefruit center, and everything is edible.
It's interesting.
And a beautiful raisin scone, Cornish clotted cream. I just love the bathrooms here. The wallpaper is beautiful and I just feel so fancy. Back here is the yard restaurant, and then the restrooms blend right into the walls over here. Looks like this might be check-in or concierge right over here.